Hello and welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host Lindsay, and today we are doing an Akashic Records reading on imagination. Thank you for voting in the poll. It was actually split 50-50 between imagination and insight as the weekly request for iWeek for the alphabet superset. There'll be more information about the alphabet superset in the description box below. So because it was 50-50, but first imagination was the main one, I'm gonna open the records on imagination, do a reading on that, but then I'm gonna have some questions about insight. So we'll ask about insight in the records of imagination as kind of a comparison, okay? And we'll see if any other messages wanna come through. Maybe there'll be some bonus messages at the end, we'll see. So I also wanna share that I have some changes in my Hey Clarity offerings. So the Clarity program, where I teach intuition, how to work in the Akashic Records, and mediumship, the one-on-one trainings are going to close on November 15th of this year until further notice. There's a lot of changes. I've got a big move coming up. So one-on-one might be more difficult to do for the trainings, and I want to be able to devote my full attention to them. So if you've been putting off your training, I'd book those sessions before November 15th. And regular readings are still available. So all that information is on heyclarity.com, and you can book through there and learn all about the one-on-one readings, the Clarity program. I also do Akashic Reiki sessions if you want a little bit of Reiki love with an Akashic Records reading combined. Okay, so the Akashic Records on imagination. So these are the questions that we're going to ask. First question, always like a foundational question. What is imagination from the Akashic Records perspective? Where does it come from? Why do we have imaginations? How can we distinguish imagination from reality or intuitive hits or messages from spirits, guides, passed on, loved ones, etc.? How do we distinguish the difference from something else? What is the potential of our imagination to our benefit collectively? And what is the potential of our imagination to our detriment collectively? And then what's the most important message we need to know? So open the Akashic Records on imagination prior to hitting record. We're in the Akashic Records of imagination now. And let's see, in my first opening of the message, I was getting the word bubbling, and it's like subconscious bubbling, and they were just showing this kind of black pool of water with bubbles popping up from the surface, right? So it's this idea of under the surface, subconscious. So that's interesting. So now I'm going to ask directly, because that was just the opening visual and message that was coming through as I was opening the records. So very specifically, what is imagination? What is imagination? They're saying recovering of the mind, unconscious, subconscious, recovering to the conscious. So it's recovering, but it has this idea of covering and taking cover off also, recovering, recovering. What is imagination? They're saying thoughts of the subconscious mind, bubbling up to the surface, bubbling of the surface, bubbling to the surface. Anything else? What is imagination? Recovering. They're kind of saying undercover, undercover thoughts and beliefs and feelings, ideas, concepts. They're saying creative projects, undercover, recovering. Interesting. So it comes from more of a subconscious mind. That's the next question. Where does it come from? Okay, so they lump that all together. Why do we have imaginations? Why do we have imaginations? They're like light bulbs, ideas, aha moments. sparks of creativity, sparks of the creative mind, sparks into action, sparks into movement, new ideas, new intelligence, new creative guides. Guides is what they're saying. Inner worlds as the guides, inner workings of the subconscious to the surface, new ideas, new concepts, new projects, new creative ideas, light bulbs, aha moments. So that's why we have them. Anything else? Why do we have imaginations? They're staying creative, to create, to express, to share feelings, emotions, thoughts, ideas, belief systems. It's like these things that like bubble up to the surface from the subconscious, and they just like these things that want to be shared, they want to be expressed, like things innate in you that want to come to the surface. And it's interesting because it's like I'm feeling like there's a focus of like the stomach, the gut. It's like coming from like the lower chakras, interestingly. And like, just like the seed is in like the lower chakras, but like the bulk of it is in like your sacral, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra and your solar plexus. And it's just like, it's like almost like this little volcano in your gut that like wants to like come out. And I'm getting like, almost like if it's not coming out through like, it like passes through the heart. It does this passing through the heart chakra as like a filter. I'm getting, it's like a filter. It filters through the heart chakra. And then maybe it comes out through expression, through the voice. Maybe you share it. But then I'm also getting there's other ways that it emanates outwards. Like if you write about it, or even like your energy kind of like emits the energy of these ideas. So it's like I'm getting outspoken or like unspoken. There's like an expression of it, like it's expressing itself like through us. So I'm getting like imagination grows like through yourself, and like they're showing us as instruments, and they're like, how do you, like what type of instrument are you? How do you play? What does your instrument sound like? What does your instrument do? Again, with this, like, is it writing? Is it music? Is it sound? Is it voice? Is it art? So like we become these like instruments, and it's like instruments of the expression of yourself from the subconscious mind. And they just showed like, oh, and it goes deeper, like it has roots. Like each of us we have these roots, and our root system. So now they're showing us as if we're like trees. And like our root system, like on a very deep level, like we're communicating with each other like under the root system. So like we have these like synapses like going off underground, like a root system. And there's like all these sparks of intelligence like in these deeper connections. So I'm getting that like almost like whether the volume is up, the expression of your imagination is like up or down, like it's almost like expressing ourselves is always emanating from us like one way or another. Like they're kind of like, it's like almost impossible not to emanate your like the energetic like field of like sharing your emotions and feelings and ideas. Like they come through you. Like I'm almost getting like they like spout out of us. Like we almost like can't control like what's inside of us. Like it always finds a way out of our being. Like we are these human beings of expression. And so it expresses itself. Is it physically? Is it medically? You know, they're kind of like when they're saying medically, they're like almost like if you're in pain, like were you holding something in for so long that needed to be expressed and needed to come out somehow, that it's now creating pain in your system. So I'm just getting like share, express yourself, like just express yourself, like express your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions. Like they need to come out of these human bodies one way or another. And they're like safely, like having fun with it, creative with it, but like they're just saying like like share the expression of yourself, like express yourself. Like they're saying more than maybe you do. So it's like, oh, do you just privately write in a journal or a diary? Do you make music quietly? Like this is, they're saying like it doesn't have to be like not a performance, but for yourself. Like our bodies need to be expressed. Feelings, express the feelings, share the feelings. So it's like we have imaginations to express our ideas and share our feelings and emotions of our like interactive existence as human beings in the world. How can we distinguish imagination from reality? Let's start there, and then I'm going to get intuitive hits, and then I'm going to okay. How can we distinguish imagination from reality? How can we distinguish imagination from reality? They're saying forms of connection, levels of connection. How can we distinguish imagination from reality? It comes through, comes through me or comes from me. Like distinguishing, is this coming through me from somewhere else? Or is this coming from me? My inner knowing, my inner knowledge, the inner workings in my subconscious mind. Can you please be clearer? Maybe even in a visual description of this. What is the difference between imagination and reality? They're showing that like imagination is like really colorful and like vibrant. And the concept of reality is like rigid and stubborn and fixed. And they're showing it in like black and white and gray. They're kind of saying like imagination is like the use of like a technicolor world, like technicolor, like seeing the world in its vibrance, seeing things vibrantly. And reality is like, they're almost saying conforming, like choosing a specific pathway and calling it a reality. They're like a reality check. They're saying there's a lot of condescension around the idea of reality, because they're saying like you choose your reality, like you choose a reality. They're saying choose a reality and come forward like with your ideas, like through your imagination, through the imagination. Use your imagination to create a reality that is colorful and vibrant and technicolor, like more beautiful than you know of it. Like I'm getting like reality has this like harsh darkness to it, the concept of reality. And imagination has like all possibilities in it. Lots of ideas and aha moments and light bulbs and new ideas, new inventions, new innovations. Like it's like the idea of imagination is like moving forward, and they're saying reality is like stagnant. Like the concept of reality is like very stagnant, very limited, limits the belief systems, limits the possibilities, this concept of reality. So they're like, well, what is reality? You know, they're asking that question back to us, like, what is reality? And they're saying like, you choose a reality. They're like, you choose your pictures. You choose how you share your feelings. You choose like what you create in the world. And then you call it a reality. And they're like, whose reality? Like, whose reality are you living in? And they're saying like, choose a reality that suits kind of like, they're saying the feelings and the emotions that you want to create, that you want to have. Like what has happened to reality is what they're saying. They're saying what has happened to reality is like doom and darkness. And they're like, that's one reality. That's not the truth. But they're saying it's one big reality. One big reality. And they're saying like truth, love, peace, like can be a reality. If you choose that reality, if you choose to create that reality and like make it real and you bring it forth into the world, like it comes through us. They're so showing us as like these like individual, almost like I want to like, not being gross, but like vomiting, purging, but like it comes out of us. Like creating a reality comes out of us. It comes through us. We create the reality. It's like that. Like, what's your belief system? What's the new creation? What's the light bulb? What's your creative idea? And it's like, if everybody pukes out the same reality because our root systems are connecting with each other on a subconscious level and like creating that reality. But I'm getting that we can, there's something about the filter in our hearts. Whoa, this is so much. Okay, hold on. We have these deeper connections in our root systems of connecting with each other and picking up on each other's. I'm getting like lifestyle, like ways of living ways of being, they're saying. Pick up all of that. And then it's like it goes through us as these filters, like coming through us from like the subconscious or unconscious to the conscious mind. And like things get so filtered in our hearts. And that's why like the heart space, they're saying it's critical. Like there's a critical need to nurture your heart so that what's coming out of you and through you kind of, they're saying, has the right filter for the reality you want to create. And so like nurturing your heart space is basically like keeping a clean filter. Holy shit. Keeping a clean filter for like how you express or share your feelings, how you create your reality. It goes through the filter of the heart. So they're kind of like, if you have like a sickened heart, if you have a like weak, vulnerable heart, a very raw heart, it's hard to express. They're kind of showing like the heart as like an open wound. And they're like, that stuff that wants to come through, it can't really get through because the heart is really wounded. So you have to like nurture and heal your heart. Warmth, they're saying warmth, nourishment, nourishing the heart, love, but also grief, like get the grief out so the heart can heal. It's like the grief has to come out so the heart can heal. And then once the heart is healed, like this filter is like working again and you're able to create a reality of like movement and moving forward. And they're like back to like vibrance and technicolor. They're like healthy, beauty, like all of these things. But there's so much about the heart being a filter. And so that's why you're saying like take care of it, like take great care of your heart and like ask it what it needs and give it what it needs, so that when we are creating, when our imaginations are emanating, or we're sharing and expressing our feelings, and they're like heartache and heartbreak, they're like, you can make that so beautiful, you know? You can make it can be devastating, it can be heartbreaking and heartaching. And but they're kind of saying like the truth and like the trust and like the deeper connections of these these ideas and feelings being shared through the heart, filtering through the heart. It's like they can create so much, they're saying like community, unity in the world, like external. So it's like we have these root systems, we pick up on each other, going through the filter, like how's your heart, how's it filtering out, and then it goes out. And like when it comes out, is it creating communication, connection on like a deeper level, like kind of in the air, right, like externally? Or is it creating like disconnection? And I'm getting like these kind of like blasts of like this like dark reality. So they're like, yeah, they're just saying dark reality. Like, are you creating a dark reality? Or are you creating like, you know, vibrance and like the technicolor in the world? Creating beauty. But they every time they say reality, they're saying concept of reality. It's a concept. Reality is a concept, and you choose a reality. Big ideas around reality, and so much like condescension around like be realistic, which they're kind of saying like dim down, you know, like quiet down, be realistic, dim down. And they're kind of like, why do you do that? Like, Why do you dim, you know, like almost like the vast possibilities and the big expressions that want to come through you? Like these big exciting things want to come through us, and we always like, they're kind of saying like choke it out or like snuff it out with this concept of reality, which is like dark and stubborn and rigid and black and white. So again, how can we distinguish imagination from reality? Well, they're just saying like we've basically created a consciousness around the word reality, which isn't necessarily the truth. They're just saying it isn't the truth. Like what we call reality isn't the truth, but we have such a consciousness around this word reality. They're kind of saying like there's no difference because you choose a reality. And you use your imagination, or you use imagination to create a reality. So how can we distinguish imagination from intuitive hits? They just said channeling, very different. Channeling is very different. So intuitive hits. So they're saying like the intuitive hits is like you're listening. They're saying like you're vibrating at like frequencies and like listening into those frequencies, almost like you're checking into channels. So like you might be listening to like a very specific frequency, like based on the frequency that you're at. So like let's talk about sound frequency and the vibration of you. Like where are you? Like I'm getting like the frequency that you're at, you might not be able to hear because you're in it. You're a part of it. If you find yourself, there's like a homeostasis, like a balance. And when you're in that kind of balance, it's like peaceful, quiet. We call it boredom. They said we call it boredom. But like homeostasis and balance, right? But like we get these highs, these thrills, these kicks out of being like super, super high vibe, like vibrating at like a faster frequency, right? There's like excitement and joy and thrill in that. But then they say we also kind of like get these weird like low thrills out of like the lower frequencies too. So it's kind of like and so when we're in, we can mix it up and like tap into different frequencies by like putting ourselves into that frequency. And so they're like, you can drop into a lower frequency, you can be into like a homeostasis, you can go into a higher frequency. And so with intuitive hits, they're saying you're listening to like, you're listening and you're feeling and you're sensing and you're pulling in information from the different vibrations around you. And they're saying like it's harder, but you could be, let's say, at a high vibration and intentionally want to tap into like a lower vibration to check in and listen. It's all deep listening. You can be at a low vibration and want to tap into a high vibration, deep listening. Listen. So it's like you can intentionally be in a place and be like, I want to move. I want to move in, I want to elevate or drop. I want to move into a different vibration. Or you can be like, I want to listen to a certain vibration. So they're saying it's very intentional, and to like use your intentions of what you want to tap into. But like with distinguishing imagination from intuitive hits, they're saying like imagination is more like inner workings, subconscious mind, kind of like these these connections that are they're almost showing like these like tubes, connections in tubes. And then the intuitive hits, they're kind of saying it's almost like you're getting it from like the air, like atoms in the air, like all these teeny, 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 tiny dots of energy and atoms in the air, right? And so they're saying like the intuitive hits kind of like come like to you. They come to you, and it's like imagination kind of comes like from you. It's like this feeling of like up and out versus like taking it in. And then how can we distinguish imagination from like connecting with guides, passed on loved ones, other worlds, etc.? Imagination. They're saying it's not for everyone. It's very confusing without practice. very confusing without practice. So it's not for everyone, and that's important to know. Like without practice, like you can't distinguish the difference between imagination and getting hits from like, you know, spirit guides, intuitive hits, spirit guides. They're saying angels, even the Akashic Records. They're just saying without practice, it's like not possible. It's not impossible, but it's not like easily possible. So it requires like, it's very important to practice and to like learn and distinguish and know the difference. And that's why I'm getting that people just kind of like shrug everything off as like being like, you know, when people say they connect with passed on loved ones or spirit guides, people who are without practice and don't understand that it's a skill, it's an ability, it's a trained, they're kind of saying like programming, that some people have more of a skill set than others. So because they can't fathom like the consciousness of that level of deep listening, they're just like, oh, it doesn't exist, or it's bullshit, or that person's crazy. Confirmation. So they're just saying like, you know, without practice, like it's not impossible, but it's not very easy to do. They're kind of saying like, they're just saying it just takes practice. Like there's a certain skill level to know that what this is, and to be very clear. They're saying very clear, very clear, very clear. It's a skill set. What is the potential of our imagination for our benefit? What is the potential of our imagination for our benefit? They're like, you can create worlds, new worlds. They're like, create your world, create our worlds, creating new realms. They were just like flying in an airplane, driving in a car, going up to space. Like all that stuff was like the seed of someone's imagination. They're like, you know, they're showing all these like future sci-fi movies, and they're like, it goes from being like far-fetched to like not far-fetched, because like we have the seed, we plant it, we call it fantasy reality, or you know, movies and books and things like that. And they're just like, you know, eventually these things that seem so far-fetched become like not far-fetched, and we actually create them. So they're like living in space. They're kind of like ha 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 joke in the past, and now it's like we're taking it pretty seriously, so we're actually considering it and like creating ways to make it happen, right? To make the impossible possible. And they're saying that's the point, is like the potential of our imagination for our benefit is like anything that we deem impossible, we can create a reality to make it possible, to like figure it out together, to get creative and figure out how do we do this. They're like kind of saying like not that much is impossible, like beyond our minds. Like there's even more beyond our minds. Like there's even more that's like, we call these things unfathomable, and then they become fathomable. It's like there's so much possibility for imagination to create our realities, to create our worlds. And they're like, you can use it every single day. Use your imagination. Like, what reality do you want to create? Think about it, and then create it. Like, make it happen. You can make it happen in your everyday, is what they're saying. And they're like, when groups of people get together, they're like scientists and engineers and and like artists and writers and speakers, and everyone gets together, and like you've got this incredible, like they're almost showing like a magnet of like really, really powerful ideas coming together and creating this like this glowing kind of orb of just like, you know, creating a reality. They're saying like so much is possible in creating our realities. What is the potential of our imagination for our detriment? What is the potential of our imaginations for our detriment? They're saying like dark, gloom, war, violence, doom, gloom, over, it's over, the end, giving up, fear, giving up. They're kind of saying like laziness. They're also saying exhaustion and being tired, being overwhelmed, being shut down. Like they're showing the world kind of like going dark. And they're like, I'm getting that part of it is like the overwhelm makes it really easy for all of us to create a reality of darkness. If we're so fucking tired, if we're so exhausted, you can just see terrible things in the world. And because you're so exhausted and tired, you can't spark anything within you to like light up the world, they're saying, to like have these light bulb aha moments. So they're saying right now it's happening, which is why they were giving the message about the heart being the filter, is they're like, the wounds in our hearts need to heal. We need to heal our hearts. We need to connect with our hearts and heal them. Check the temperature, check in with your heart and see where it's at. Is it a total like open gash of a wound? Then you need to care for your heart. Like that's a priority. It's very important right now, because having a healthy heart allows it to like shine, so that you can have these magnets of all these like glowing, incredible people coming together to create these like glowing orbs of like creating a new reality. So they're like, you know, if our scientists and our engineers and, you know, they're like the creative, the artists, if everyone's like kind of like wounded, like in darkness, this dark reality, this gloom reality, this doom reality, everyone's just like exhausted on the floor and everything's dark and cold and we're just all like wounded laying on the ground. Like there's no sparks of light. And so it's really important for us to like recognize that we can create realities. And they're kind of saying like, our hearts want to light up, like they regenerate. And so like some of us might be like exhausted, feeling in the dark, like laying down, feeling really heavy, like we can't get up. And our hearts can like light up and kind of regenerate a little bit on their own. And then they wake us up and they spark us up, and then they like this dark body is like glowing again. And then this person like slowly starts like getting up off the ground and standing up, and it's slow. It's like a slow movement, but they're just saying like your hearts can actually like regenerate on their own, sometimes without us. But they're saying that's like, it's special. It's special and it's rare, but it's also slow. And so if you have the awareness and the consciousness that you can like get back to those light bulb aha moments, like heal your heart, clear that filter so that things can be flowing through you again, and we can be emanating and creating the realities that we want to have in the world. So the potential of our imaginations for our detriment is just like, they're saying like believing old belief systems and buying into, they're saying like buying the selling of dark doom gloom realities. Like it's being sold to us. They're like, it's sold out. Like sold out. Like when's it going to be sold out? Like let these dark realities like phase out, let them sell out. They're saying go out of business, like let this shit go out of business. So creating realities, like creating a new reality. We need to be creating new realities. What's the most important message we need to know right now? They're just saying mend your hearts, mend your filter, mend your heart. Choose a reality that suits the world, our world. What's the most important message we need to know right now? Choosing a reality. And they're like, what are you going to choose? And they said, it is your choice. And your choice is also your responsibility. So they're like, if you're all choosing this dark reality, you're responsible for it, like all of it. And so if you want to be responsible, if you want to have a different reality, you know, create one and take responsibility for that. They're saying you don't have to keep, they're saying like guilt and shame of feeling responsible for what's been created, like throughout history and throughout the world, like this global community. But they're like, why not take responsibility and go from inaction to action, go from having these wounded hearts filled with grief to mending them, cleaning out those filters and creating this beautiful, vibrant, healthy, technicolor world. Okay, is there anything else? They're just saying choice, like reality is a choice, choose your reality. And they're saying like give it a chance, like give a different reality a chance, like a beginning, like a chance is a beginning for a new reality. Okay, thank you. Is there anything else around while we're in imagination with insight? Imagination and insight. So how would you describe insight? To get back to the poll, through imagination, I'm asking about insight as well. So how can we describe insight? They're showing insight as like almost like my body filling up with like eyes, looking everywhere, like eyes, like seeing, like the seeing of a reality, the seeing things, the witnessing, the observance, the observing. And they're kind of saying there's like a silence because it's like seeing. It's like the snapshot of like taking it in, like a photograph of like taking it in, and all the ways that we kind of like insight, like from you, it's like taking a shot, taking a photograph, but like as if not just these eyes and this eye, there's eyes all over my body looking out. So insight is like you viewing the world and like how you view the world. And it's like, it's the way that imagination can be unconscious, subconscious coming up like this. Insight feels like it's like surface level, like on the skin. And I'm getting it's like witnessing things almost like as you are, as they are. But then like other parts of us like project through that. So insight is like almost like being covered by many eyes, witnessing and observing things. Just these like snapshots of what's going on. And then the next, like the under levels, the other levels are that we can project through the insight. And then that kind of, it might change the insight, because it's like the insight is kind of like just as it is, just as you are, like seeing things. And then you have these like projections and ideas and like imagination, feeling, emotion, like all these other things that then can like project outwards. So that's their like oversimplified explanation of what insight is.